I mean, we all want our living rooms to be beautiful, but that does not mean I can't be comfortable too. Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett, and in this video, we're talking about living rooms, we're talking about design mistakes, we're talking about how to avoid them and how to fix them. I love to relax and lounge in my living room, and I know you all do too, which is why you should give this video a like and make sure you are subscribed to the channel and have the bell notification turned on to get notified every time I upload, because we talk a lot about interior design on this channel because that's what the channel's about. Anyway, let's get into the video. Now, a lot of you know that I actually went to interior design school. Like, that's what my degree is in, that's what I studied, which is why the first design mistake people are making in their living rooms hits the closest to home, and that is that people are not prioritizing comfort. We as a whole, we as people want to enjoy the spaces we have, and that means more than just looking at them. So we want to make sure we're bringing pieces into our spaces that are comfortable, that we really love, that suit our lifestyle. If you're not the person that watches TV in your living room, maybe you just have a sofa you like to cuddle up on and read, make sure you have good lighting in that space. Make sure it's a sofa you can be on for a little while. If you have a formal living room and it is someplace that you are just sitting and having conversations and talking, that's really great. Have some conversation pieces in there to keep that conversation flowing, but also make sure that your sofas are the right choice to sit on that full time as opposed to cuddle up on and snuggle on. You want to make sure that you are prioritizing the comfort of the space and the usage of that space over just how the space looks. The next design mistake I see being made all of the time is a square coffee table with a sectional. And there are sometimes this works really well, but it usually takes a very large space to make this function properly. The reason a lot of times it doesn't work so well is because you have a square sectional that has a corner, and then you have a table that has a corner, and if you have anything less than that kind of like 18-inch minimum space between the sofa and the coffee table, you're not really gonna be able to get around that corner, and you're like turning to the side to try and wiggle through, or like if you have kids and they're just running all over the place, which you wanna make sure that you have the space to get around there without falling or hurting yourself or like bruising your shin. There is nothing worse than that. Be sure that you're being mindful of the space to get around that if you decide that a square coffee table is the best choice if you fall in love with one. But the best coffee table to invest in my opinion, is a round one to go with a sectional. That way you have a good amount of space to get around. You can get into that corner, you can walk past it and through it without the potential of running into it, hurting yourself, bumping into it, without kids tripping into it and gouging their eyes. Although, name a child that does not love an eye patch. I'll wait. In my professional opinion, the best coffee table to go for with a sectional, with a square sectional, is a round one so that you have the space to get around it and have that clearance you need. One of the next design mistakes I see being made is all about the functionality of the space, and that is that a coffee table is too low for your sofa. On average, we want a coffee table to either be the same height as a seat or slightly elevated. That way you're not like leaning or crouching or really having to stretch to set a drink down on it. And like I've said before, in this house, honey, we use coasters. You wanna make sure that the coffee table is the correct height for that seating arrangement, because there's nothing worse than a coffee table that's really low that you can barely reach or get to, or you have to literally get up off of the sofa to reach to. Like, that is not gonna be efficient, effective. It doesn't make the space more useful. The average seat height for a sofa is around 18 inches, and you typically want a coffee table to be at that 18 inches or slightly higher so that you really get that ease of use. It's easy to reach and access. You get the usability, the functionality of it. That way you're not having to get up off of the sofa to set your drink down on a coaster. The next design mistake I see is that we tend to want to overfill a space, and we usually do that through magazines. Let me just say that this is not a doctor's office. This is not a mechanic's waiting room. We do not need to have every magazine that you own that has ever passed through your hands. You want to limit yourself to a few pieces of reading material or interesting things like that on your coffee table, in the room in general. That way you're not cluttering or filling a space. We want to have a bit of that negative space so that we can breathe a little bit, so that we kind of have a little bit of a minimal effect and allows our eye to process what we're seeing, as opposed to having every magazine from the last 2 years or whatever that you've gotten that are like ripped and torn and shredded. This is not a doctor's office, okay? It's not a mechanic's waiting room. We can elevate a space, and you can have a few of your favorite magazines or the latest issues or copies. You could have a very tasteful Architectural Digest, Veranda, whatever your favorite magazine is, laying on the table for whoever comes into your home to read, for you to flip through and turn pages through. We don't need to have our entire collection of magazines on display. The next design mistake I see being made is rug size. Now, I actually talked a little bit about this in my Stop Taking This Design Advice video. A lot of people really love that. It's packed full of information, and I definitely recommend you check that out. And basically what I said was that, yeah, I mean, everybody kind of says, don't get a rug that's too small. We all know that, it's pretty obvious. But a lot of times we say to get a rug that completely all of the furniture sits on top of, and that's not always necessarily the case. It's not always feasible to do. You're not always gonna be able to find a rug that is the exact right size for your space. So in that instance, what I would say is have the majority of your furniture sitting on the rug. What I mean by that is if you have an accent chair, make sure that 50 to 75% of that chair is sitting on the rug. That way you don't get the effect of like that chair is gripping on and holding and like being dragged off of it. You know, it's falling off the side of the rug. That way you feel like it's a part of the space. The same thing goes for a sofa, tables, whatever it is you have. You want the bulk of them to be sitting on that rug. That way you're defining the area and the space, and your rug doesn't look like it's undersized or too small. I know it can be difficult to find rugs that even fit that parameter, but it is something that will definitely elevate and upgrade your space and make it feel and look luxurious and grounded and substantial, which is definitely what you want to go for, as opposed to something that is way too minimal no matter what your style is. The next design mistake I see being made is that we are overpacking shelves, like bookshelves, accent shelves, and there's a fine line between, you know, having just decor and accessories and just being packed full of books. You want to have that kind of middle ground. So I would say if you have a lot of books, you might be an avid reader and collect them. I know I love reading. You want to have them out so that you have access to them, because not everybody has a library. Love that for you if you do, and invite me over, please. But we're not all in that position. So what I would recommend you do is to break up those books a little bit with some accessories and some accents. And if you don't have room for that, turn some of those books on their side. That way we're breaking up all of these lines. I would also recommend being strategic about where you put them in terms of the color of the spines. I know some people like to turn books on their back. But honey, you're not reading them if you're doing that. Like, how are you telling which book is which? Not my business, not the point of this video, but we can definitely elevate the way bookcases are styled that won't feel overpacked, overcrowded, or jammed in, because that kind of looks to us like a dusty old library, right? It just feels a little bit full, it feels a little bit too packed. With a little bit of that negative space, you can really elevate the way a bookcase or shelves in general are styled, but you also don't want to just have decor for the sake of decor. You don't want to have a ton of just stuff on shelves. Even if it is sentimental, you kind of want it to feel like it's natural, like it found its way there, like it is cultivated and curated. We say that a lot on the channel because it really, really will lead to your space feeling like it represents you and like it's comfortable and really represents who you are. The next design mistake that I see being made isn't necessarily being seen because it's being smelled, and that is overpowering scents. They can just be so strong and give people migraines and headaches, and it can be a little bit overpowering and a little bit overbearing. We want to be strategic in what we're doing, because enticing the senses is really one of the ways to elevate and upgrade your space to make it feel luxurious, and those are sight, taste, smell, touch, feeling. We want to enhance our spaces through that. So mixing up textures is going to help with the touch and the feeling of things. The scent of your space is really kind of a signature that people are going to associate with you. Scents can bring up memories and really beautiful moments in our life that we remember, and you want your house to have kind of a signature. And for me, that's something that's not overpowering or overbearing. It's not going to be the scent of cleaners. It's not going to be something that's way too strong, or like some spray fabric softener, whatever, that is going to mask the scent of whatever is there, as opposed to just eliminating it and having something that's soft and luxurious. I even do this through cleaning products. I'm going to link one of my favorites for you down below that has just a really beautiful scent that's not overpowering or strong. I also do this with my furniture polishing cleaner. There's a lot of really cool ways to bring in a lot of amazing scents. I will also link some of my favorite candles down for you below that will really upgrade and elevate a space, because scent is so important to a space. Even if you do like the scent of cleaners because it makes you feel like, hey, the space is clean, there's a way to upgrade all of that and go for a scent that really will enhance your home and your space and your life in general. Because we all have that one friend who you go over and their house is just like so overpoweringly scented, like some generic cleaning product that it gives you a migraine and you're like, babe, let me get an Advil before I go home because I can't do it. Love that for them, but I don't want to be that person. The next design mistake I see being made is that we are using too many small pieces of furniture in our spaces. We went through this phase where we were using really big furniture, and we all kind of decided, you know, like, there's a time and a place you want to use appropriate scale for a space, and you might be a minimalist or think you are, and you like all of these small pieces, but you do not need to have 10 stools in your living room. You don't need to have 4 ottomans, 6, 10 ottomans, whatever. We don't need to have a ton of these things. I'm also seeing it right now where people are just being like, I'm a minimalist, but they're really vessel collectors. That's a whole thing. If you have 20 vessels in your room, you collect vessels, love that for you, but it's not minimalism. You wanna make sure you're not overusing too many small pieces in a living room, specifically pieces on a floor like stools, ottomans, chairs. We don't need something in every space. That negative space will speak louder than those pieces will. You wanna pull back. It's kind of like what Coco Chanel said about getting ready and putting on jewelry. You wanna take off the last piece you put on. Take out the last piece you accessorized with, or pull back a little bit, have a little bit of negative empty space to allow the eye to relax and breathe and see a space as it is, as opposed to filling it with a ton of little things. Well, there you have it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. What other things do you really love to see in living rooms? How would you suggest you could go about correcting design mistakes? What are some design mistakes you see all the time, or have you made any of these? We want to hear from you. Be sure you give this video a like and you're subscribed to the channel, but we all know a friend that maybe needs some help curating and elevating their space, so be sure to share this video with them because friends help friends. And I will see you in the next one.